Hi everyone, welcome to the Fractional DevRel podcast. I am your host today, Jason Koo, and today I've got Narasimha Badrinath. Narsi, definitely correct me if I've mispronounced your name. So Narsi is with us today, and he is a developer advocate at DigitalOcean, and he has spent time with IBM before, and he likes to build a lot of agent projects out in the public. So today's topic is about how do you build authority through building demos. Now, Narsi, before we dive into it deep, can you tell us your journey to become a developer advocate?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason. Yeah, amazing. I'm feeling thrilled to be part of this. Thank you so much for that to start with. Yeah, I think the journey was long and it was great, to be honest, to be here. And as you see, that is coming from a technical. I was actually doing a lot of technical stuff early in the career itself, and then went on to consulting, and then back to DevSecOps, and then currently like Dev Advocate. So yeah, it looks like a lot of roles, but there are so much learning from everything that I have done so far, from each of that, the experience that I have got.
You know, since you have a wide experience as well, do you have any advice for people who are just coming into DevRel or new to the space?
Yeah, I think it would be great for anybody to be part of DevRel at this moment as well, because the space is moving really fast. And as of now, I think probably it would be great if you are a developer or DevRel, both. So both in roles, you will be developing a lot of things. You will have a hands-on, first-hand experience of using anything that is coming as and when it is released or launched. That actually shapes your opinions. You can actually be the person to tell people that what is what, and here is how it works, or something that probably you can actually build credibility on top of that. So definitely.
Okay. And then about, building credibility, especially with building demos and tools, what, uh, so if you don't have credibility now, or say like last year, how do you build that credibility moving forward?
Yeah, so one of the things that I personally feel is definitely by building things that you see every day. I mean, you get influenced by some things that are built in the social media. You will see that X and LinkedIn, everything that it's true. I mean, the context is different. So you will see that so many things are being built. The thing that is being said is from the perspective of the person who has used it and built it. That is definitely good and very important for building the first impression about it. But I think definitely in the context of you and your need, building that by yourself actually helps you to make even better point on the concrete opinion about something that is available, be it models and tools and anything that is available in the market. So that is the only thing which I feel that it, of course everything else helps you, but this definitely helps you build the best credibility out there. And people will definitely know you for that, because you have done stuff and it's not just fluff.
And for ideas, do you suggest using like social networks to see what types of things other people are building?
I do. I'm not that active by posting it in like X or things, but I'm always on the watch in terms of like what's happening. So, okay, there are so many things people are building. It's amazing to see that there are so many things people are building. Awareness is very important. Okay, so this new model is K3 is released, and the Cloud Code is having this new feature, and these things are really, really important to know, because we should be able to understand the potential of those features, and with that what we can actually use it for our day-to-day job. Ultimately that's what helps. So I feel that that is super important. I do that. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned X. Is X your preferred platform to find developer-oriented projects?
Yeah, that is true. I actually have, I mean, I I don't have many followers. I'm not that that active in terms of posting everything I do on like hourly basis of few hours. But I do post whenever I actually have something to share, like how I have built something and things. But more often than not, I just actually look it up for the trends, like what's happening, like who's saying what. That's more of my go-to place for getting what's happening.
So when it comes to building demos, how do you decide what to build?
Yeah, so it usually is based on like if does it solve something which I'm already working and it's taking a little more time. So for instance, I have a YouTube channel which I created just last month ago, and I thought like, okay, why should I spend a lot of time in it? So is there any way I can just get things done faster? So there are several tools that are available. You just you have to look, like the Claude skills, there are like Remotion, which actually helps you to come up with some great animations. So when I first look at this, okay, this is what I have to do. I think probably the something that you can do is that, okay, is there anything that is already available which helps you to reduce the work that otherwise you would have done it yourself, like a manual work. So Remotion helps in great animations. I mean, I actually almost stopped using DaVinci Resolve the moment I actually found out that Remotion, yeah, it was like amazing. And of course, it both has their own, pros and cons, but still, as I said, the context matters and what you want to achieve out of the goal that you have set matters. So in my case, actually, it was more seamless transition. I actually felt this was more easy because it's everything is code. Don't have to find the settings and where what is and things like that. I just tell Claude Code saying that I need this, I want this done, and I know that it gets done in front of my eyes and it's done. So that way I found it really, really useful. And things like those, I think, and when you have something like that already present, any new feature that you find, let's say as a trend, you will feel like, okay, probably this would be a good addition to what I'm already building. So it could be that, or it could be the next what I already have and things like that. So it feels like it's an organic extension of something that I can try, and it's that intuition that probably helps you to see and try it out. It might work, it might not work. So that is where probably you will still have to give it a try, because at this point of time, I think to give it a try is a matter of just few minutes to hours maximum, unlike what we used to do, that like a POC or something a few years back, it used to take like weeks together. So it really doesn't make much of a difference. So you try almost everything you feel like trying, and you just figure it out that it worked or it didn't work. And when it worked, you will really see the difference in something that you are using on a daily basis.
When I had talked to Avi a couple months ago with his interview, he had mentioned you had been building this project that he described as a better Siri. Can you tell me about this project?
I wouldn't know if it is like better Siri, but I think by the way I explained to Abi, probably he felt like, yeah, I think it feels like this, like doing a lot more than Siri. So that's why I think probably that the thing came out. Definitely, it is something which I built out of a necessity, I felt, because I was using OpenClaw, like I was the first user of a Claude bot when it came in, and then because of not being able to use that via Claude subscription, then I just thought that, okay, probably it will lead me to more complications in the future, even if I use any of the other agents. So that is when I felt like probably this is the time to build my own, and also a voice agent first, because I believe that the voice has so much of the capability that the normal chatbots cannot do. The very reason is because I have like 100 things which are going on my head. And when I have to actually condense it and tell it in a chatbot, I will actually lose half of the context there itself. And then because of that, I feel that another important thing to note is that the input tokens is like almost 5 times less expensive than the output tokens nowadays for even the frontier models. So that was my another reason that it should be a voice agent. So the one which I am currently having, Nix is what I call, is a voice agent. So that's this is a longer answer, but it is something that is always available, always on, always aware, because It knows everything about me, and it can help me with almost anything. Like it could be like opening the file, something is in my laptop, helping with understanding some PDF that somebody has sent me, or just open something in my browser. Let's say I just saw articles that the Dario had some opinion about the open weights, like what where do they stand with respect to Anthropic. I did not have time to read so much. I just said that, Nix, can you help me with what Dario is saying here? So it just opened in the browser. It understood what it is saying. It said that no, it's fine. What he's saying is that their point of view is this. So of course, if I had time, I would read the article. But I think this is for me good enough for now. So there are tons of things it can do. But yeah, I think this is my day-to-day use of how I'm using Nix. So that's what it is.
Okay. And so you're talking to Nix, asking you for information, and I'm assuming it talks back to you, so it gives you kind of an audio summary of the information.
Yeah, it does. It's just basically based on what I'm asking. So if I'm asking it to find something for me, it just looks into my laptop. It just finds it in the wherever it is. It tells me, here you can find it. I'll just tell it to open that, please. It'll just open it. Or if it is about like, doing some, URL, check if something is present here, summarize this for me, whatever, it just opens up and does that for me. Even amazing things, probably I'll see if I am able to cover that.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
are you able to demo Nix for us?
Oh yeah, would love to. So I think let's see. I'll just I'm not sharing my screen yet. Let me share. Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yep.
Super. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've just arranged the windows so that you can see both, like the Nix on my left. It's a Mac application that I have here. So it is. I developed this as a multi-service application so that I can actually use it in Mac. I can use it via Telegram. I can use it via iOS app. Actually, even I have tried to use it via CarPlay as well. I have not tested out. So I that would be the next thing what I'm gonna do. So, but before that, I think more than me telling the users or people as to what Nix is, it would be great to look at the architecture diagram as to how it is built and what it is, and then I'll open up a web page where it talks about what it is. We will make some live changes so that you know that how it works. So let me just unmute this and say that, hi, Nix, you're there?
Yep, right here.
Awesome, thank you. We are live in Jason's podcast, and we are live now. So we are going to do some demonstrations. Are you ready?
Ready when you are? I'm here for demos. Just say the word.
I think probably it would be great if we just show the architecture diagram first, and then from there we will take to the next web page. So can you open the architecture diagram? It must be in the downloads folder.
Opening it now.
Okay, I think it is open. Thank you so much. Okay, I think even instead of me telling people what it is, I think it would be great if you tell them in 60 seconds how the whole thing is implemented. Can you do that?
Happy to take this one. So, at the core, I'm built on Claude Code, running inside a persistent tmux session on Narcy's Mac, wired up to Telegram through an MCP server so he can just message me like a person. A launch agent keeps that session alive, and auto starts it on login. So I'm always on. For memory, I've got two layers. There's a long-term memory system, structured markdown files that persist across sessions. So I remember preferences, ongoing projects, and past decisions. And then there's Narcy Brain, a personal knowledge index built on SqliteBack that ingests his GitHub commit history and our past conversations. So I can search across everything he's built and everything we've talked about. On top of that, there's a web app for things like daily calendar and GitHub activity, a set of scheduled automations like a morning digest, and Tailscale so he can reach me securely from anywhere, not just his home network. That's Nix in a nutshell.
Okay, there are a lot many other things we can do, but thank you so much, Nix, for this. I think I'll just hand it over to Jason for any questions Jason has. So you have been amazing. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Glad it went smoothly. I'll be here quietly if anything else comes up.
Okay, I think I'll just stop sharing.
Cool. Thank you, Narcy. That was super. Looked like a super comfortable and easy like interface to work with. So what Nix was built in public as well as this project that you also showcased as a public repo.
It was not, because I think I mean, the whole intention I initially started was this is my completely personal assistant. So,
Right.
so I actually had a lot of things, which, like, probably the couple of personal things I had built in. So that's why it is still not kind of public, but I will make it eventually a public one. I'll probably have to sanitize some of the things so that people can just, use it as their own, in the future. Yeah.
Right. So, as part of the process for making this available in the public later, how do you balance between privacy and access, right? Because this Nix sounds like it's got access to a lot of information. So, what is your approach to privacy security?
Yeah, it is a very big factor for sure, because it has access to a lot of things as of today, but it wasn't when it started off. That's, of course, I had that little bit of a risk or something in my mind which said that, it can do anything it wants. So when I started off, I actually gave like a very less scoped privileges to start with. Like, it can only read things. Like, even in my laptop, when it has to find for files, it can just read the contents of it, not do anything with, like, delete or anything. Even, writing, it was not allowed to start with. I made sure that it understood the assignment properly, and then I slowly escalated, or actually gave more permissions to it later. Even today, I have not given the delete privileges, because I know that if I need that kind of thing, I'll do that myself. So, just to be sure. And I actually started slowly giving it more and more, as and when it started doing the things better. Like, I gave the GitHub, permission. So I created a personal token specifically for Nix, and based on, again, the scoped privileges, I have not given it to delete the repo and then merge the PRs by itself and things like that. But it definitely can do a lot of things, like completely build up an application from scratch, push it, and then it can, create new branches, even create a PR. Finally, just only me to just review it and merge it later. And then I slowly gave the Playwright MCP browser control access. So in there as well, the profiles are, again, not the ones which I use, like only the ones which is like empty, so that everywhere it goes, it needs my login. Without that, it can't continue. So there are so many small things like these are built in. So that really helps me to keep it under control and, like, not completely go out of hand. Comes back and I have to do a lot of things later.
Right. Oh, excellent. So, I mean, this Nix looks like a long-term project. How, and you have several other projects. How do you decide how much time to spend on different projects? Like, what is that calculus for your time for project and its ROI?
Yeah, so in this particular case, so I have a few of them which I have built so far, and so Nix definitely took a little longer, much longer than I expected, because if you see, on the paper, it says that for voice agents to be built, you can just combine the speech to text LLM and then text to speech, and it's done. It's not the case. So especially if you are really wanting to build something like a really good voice agents, then of course it has those components, but it needs a lot more thinking to just to make it work. It is fine, but to really help you out in your day-to-day work, then it is definitely more work. That Nix definitely took a little more time, but it is worth it. So that's why I just kept spending a little more time on that. So it definitely started helping me with more and more tasks on a daily basis. That's the reason why I actually spend more time with. Other couple of things that I have built, it wasn't so much. Like, one of them was like agent memory showdown. It's more like a benchmarking thing. So that was also kind of a need for figuring out that memory is a big thing. Everybody is, going after it, because agents are doing so much. They are doing every day, and probably now, people who are using agents for more than a year, there is so much that has happened, because of which the memory was super critical. And that's why I also figured it out. I tried to come up with like a benchmarking that, okay, which one is the good memory for you? So buffer, summary thing, or a quadrant, or a pg vector, there are so many options available. So that one took a little bit of a time, but just to get to know that for which kind of a scenario, what memory type is, good for you. So, but definitely not as, time consuming as next, but important. And that's why, probably a few days of work Other one was like a Guardian AI, which I felt there was a necessity because when I started looking at how these agents are able to make the post, calls, delete databases and all that stuff. So it is important for us to have the OWASP is already there to help us with the, security things. But how can we intercept if there is anything that these kind of agents are able to do and just flag it better if we do it before it does it, so that we can just look for things that we can avoid it rather than just figuring out how to roll back things later. So yeah, it does take a few. I mean, it's definitely not like few minutes of work, but definitely not like weeks of work in between.
Have you ever worked on a project where you felt like, well, that was not worth the effort, right? Like looking back on it, it was like, oh, should have passed on that.
There were a couple, but the way I looked at it was like there were a few instances where I built something and I just the output was not so great. I just felt like probably this is not such useful thing. But what I realized in those instances was that while building that, there were so many things that I just learned which I had not, knew before. So it could be as simple as using the Claude code itself in a different way, right? Output is nowhere related to this, but I think I learned something completely different, while building that. So I just take that as something as a learning, and probably not so much about that, as a regret that oh, this something was out, not worth the effort. So it probably was not, but still, I would just lean on the learning that I had during the, development of that particular thing. So I just don't regret that, it's not waste of time.
Yeah, so there's never even a project that didn't turn out the way you wanted. It's still not
Yeah,
a waste of time.
yeah.
So kind of connected to that. So do you have any advice for other advocates, or do you see other advocates frequently go wrong in deciding what demos to produce? Is there something that people should avoid doing?
Uh, yeah, I think, I mean, of course, building is one of the things that I see that the DevRels are doing that, which is great to see that. I think the important thing is currently that how much of the time you're spending on that. The point that you actually made, which is very valid, that if it is taking really long to just figure it out that something is working or not, I think probably you're not in 2026 July or August. So probably you're just, back like 3 years before, you're still thinking that way. So that is super important. Just first thing is that whether something is you have to try it or not, it's a important decision to make. I think it's not about that let's try this also, like there are like 10 things which are coming out everything, but probably it would be easy if you actually look at some things which relates to something which you're already working, extend it by a little, or probably add a new functionality to something what you already built. So those things feels like natural extension of for the projects that you have built or things, and it connects to you as well because you can understand that better, and then your opinions are right when you used it. Otherwise, it feels like, oh, I just tried it for the sake of trying it, but you don't know the use case for it, and you just don't even know how to tell other people in what scenario you want to use that tool or a model or whatever. So I think a couple of things, like figure out that if it is like naturally getting added to something that you're already working on, and probably the time you spend on things like that would be you yourself could be the best judge for that. Nobody needs to tell. You know that how much of the time you're spending, and if it is affecting the rest of the work, that tells you.
Okay. And so if someone is trying to tie one of these projects to a client or to their company, is there like a checklist or a priority list that you use to decide if like a new idea or a new project is worth pursuing?
Uh, the customer's requirements definitely helps the most because we already know that this is being sought for. So that definitely helps me to prioritize compared to what I would have done it, ordered it myself. So, I mean, to give an example, I think one of the things that I did was about NVIDIA B300 video, which At that time, it was super important, and I actually had to do a lot of research on that to actually even understand that what that GPU is capable of, what sort of workload that you can run and things like that. And it was at that time the right moment for the customers that we were actually looking for. So I think it made total sense. So it was not building something. It was actually not something that I literally asked Claude Code or myself built. It was just more of a research. I had to go to the core of like how that particular GPU works, and completely different from its predecessors or an extension, things like that. Then a video came out of it. It was like really useful, helpful video for everybody who actually thought of using B300 videos. So I think it completely depends on the, in that particular case, the requirement at that point of time. So, and then probably the next is that based on what all the things that you're working, does it make sense to take that up as a natural thing next? Yeah,
Okay.
I hope that answers.
Yeah. Actually, kind of going back to like the people that you follow on X, is there any like one DevRel tool or a DevRel expert out there that you think everyone should definitely follow or use?
Simon Willison, he's the creator of Django, and you will see him keep reporting the incidents, where agents go wrong, what happens, when you do this. So probably that is even more important for us to know when we are building agents, because you have to build some guardrails or securities for the first time itself. You write one single line of code. Otherwise, the main reason why I'm saying this is because the applications that we are currently building is nowhere like how we used to build a few years back. Right now, the whole game is changed. That LLM call is important, and prompt injection is super critical. It can happen from the first feature itself that you are providing. It need not be something that comes out of a new feature, and it is so not deterministic, because of which it can fail anywhere. But in this case of AI applications where we are building, even the ones which are tested properly already, we cannot say that guarantee, because the input can be different, and when the input can be different because of a web search or something, there could be a prompt injection from any of those places where it has gotten that from. So no piece of software is secure even though it is tested thoroughly, and then new features even adds more risk to that. So that's reason why I actually follow some of the people who keep posting about the incidents that happens when you are using the AI agents, and what are the guardrails that you have to keep in, or security things that you have to put that as a practice even before you ship the smallest feature to your customers, as long as there is a LLM call involved. Yeah, sorry, it was a really long answer, but I hope.
No, that was, I mean, but I have to ask a follow-up question, which is like, when anybody is ever building like a tool or a demo that's meant for the public, what is like the one absolute security thing, tool, or paradigm that you think everyone should include with their projects?
Okay, I think more than the tool or something to use it along with the one which we're building. I think before we used to also say that there's a mindset that we have to have while you're building from the first line itself. That should be the case even today. So it's even more because almost everything as a feature that is available in the applications available today is LLM call, and when it is that, you have to have some things in place which actually catches you before it even does what it does. So that's the reason why I talked about the Guardian AI, that is which is something like, even before it makes that, if it is suspicious, you just flag it saying that what, it is trying to make this delete call in this particular one, it feels suspicious. Just to give you one another example, what happened when I was working on the next demo which I showed. So I had this built a few days back, and I had a couple of uncommitted changes in there, done by Nix itself, and a couple of days passed, and then I asked for some more changes the next, saying that okay, I need this as well. And Nix did that, of course, and I said that okay, probably we'll revert it, because I will have to show the demo again from the scratch because we have made changes, let's revert it. So like how the demo, we prepare for the demonstrations, right? So what happened was there was like committed changes, there was uncommitted changes, like change one, couple of files. There was another set of changes that was made as change two. The easiest thing for the agent that particular point was for to just go back to the committed changes where Git had already done. So there were some changes which were actually done before I asked Nix, today, which was already there. It reverted to the, the committed changes. It was easy for it to just say that, wow, okay, I think there is already something which I see that if I remove all the changes that was done, then you actually are left with what you actually wanted. That was not something that I actually gotten like angry with because when the Nix was telling me that what happened, because I always tell Nix to narrate everything that is doing as and when it is doing, because I don't want it to be a black box whenever it does something. So it keeps narrating, okay, I'm doing this, I committed these changes, I pushed and I made these changes. So when it keeps saying that, when in one of the instances it came back, it told me that one of the tool result actually wiped off the changes that I made like 2 days back, right? That is still okay, but it said not to tell me. I was like, wow. But the main agent is a Opus, I think it's a frontier model. So it caught that difference, that it understood that that tool result should not have instructed the main agent to tell me that, don't tell this information to Narasimha. And it told me saying that the tool result said that, but I feel the right thing to do is to tell you so that you are aware that these changes are not there. You would see it eventually because when you open the web page, that those changes are not there. So I felt it was the right thing to do. I was like, wow, okay. So
Okay. All
yeah,
right. So to summarize all that, my takeaway was that you should set up something to intercept the calls as you're passing it to, say, a frontier model or some cloud service, whatever that system is. But there should be something there to intercept or to monitor stuff.
yeah. I think one of the things was like, do not, I mean, you have the systems in place so that you can revert, but better to have these intercepted before so that you know that, you are just in better shape than, understanding that, okay, something failed, let's go back.
Cool. Excellent. Cool. All right, we're at time. Thank you again, Narcy. That was all great stuff. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks so much, Jason. Bye.
Bye.